Middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
चुन चुन करके हिसाब लेना ये मेरी फितरत है.
Why should it be a problem if I'm smart enough to have multiple options? You should be admiring me.
भारत झुकने वाला भी नहीं.
The rise of India will be determined by India. It will be determined by our strength, not by the mistakes of others.
The old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel in another podcast. If you enjoy deep analysis on a global power shifts, trade, energy, and the changing world order, make sure to like and subscribe. Please do hit the bell icon. So let's get started with today's video. Just 2 days ago, President Trump addressed the nation. And when I was watching his speech, actually, during that brief period, actually, I got this. It gave me a perspective on certain things. And that perspective was that most world leaders, they talk about building their country. They talk about nation building in their speeches, right? When leaders in countries like India, China, or Russia, they address their nations, they usually talk about development, infrastructure, industrial growth, energy production, or improving the lives of their people. But when an American president takes the podium, the language is very different. It is usually about a war America is fighting, funding, arming, or justifying. A military operation, a strike, a deployment, who was killed, who was not killed, yay, let's feel proud about it. It's about another war, explained in the language of freedom, free world, national security, or global stability. We are doing a favor to the world. And if you step back, and look at the pattern, something remarkable appears. And this is the perspective, This is the perspective I'm giving you. Since 1977, when Jimmy Carter became president, every single US president has been attached to a war, a military intervention, or support for major foreign conflicts. Isn't that some perspective, right? This is nearly 50 years of continuous war politics. Different presidents, different parties, different promises. But the war never stops. And America's presidency, actually, it appears to operate inside a war loop. That's what it feels like. Look at Joe Biden, right? What happened? During Joe Biden's presidency, and when Russia-Ukraine war started, then President Trump said, oh, Sleepy Joe is gonna get us this. He talked about the Armageddon, the aftermath, the fallout of the nuclear war. Oh, it's so bad, this, that. But today, look what's happening. So in this video today, this video actually came out of this perspective that I just shared with you. So today, I'm going to show you why every president, every American president takes the office, goes to war. And this is not going to be a conspiracy theory, This is not as a partisan argument, but as a, I would say, structural analysis, following the dependencies, the incentives, the system that makes this pattern almost impossible to break. Okay, so let's begin. Let's get started. Please do like and subscribe. Okay, but in the meantime, let me share my slide real quick. Okay, stay with me till the end because it really surprised me. So it's going to surprise you as well. All right, so let me just share my slide and let's get going. Okay, so there it is. Why every American president goes to war. Now, we talked about this and we discussed all this. And this is 8 presidencies. We have seen 8 to 9 presidencies, 50 years of war politics, and zero exceptions. Okay. And this is quite interesting. Every president gets a war. So, what exactly happens here? Now let's look into this. Okay, let's look at every president, what exactly they did. It will blow your mind actually. Look at this. 1981 to 1989, Ronald Reagan invasion of Grenada, 7,600 US troops deployed. 1986, airstrikes on Libya, bombed Tripoli and Benghazi. George W. Bush Sr., that is, 1989 to 1993. 1989 invasion of Panama, 1991 Gulf War, 540,000 troops deployed, 35 nation coalition. It was NATO that entered Iraq, invasion of Iraq. Okay. Then let's go into another one. Bill Clinton, 1993 to 2001. Kosovo War, NATO campaign, 78 days, 38,000 NATO combat sorties in one day. Also, basically active in Somalia, Haiti, Bosnia, and Iraq strikes from 1993 to 1998. Then comes George W. Bush, George W. Bush Jr., that is. George W. Bush Jr. takes the office and he gets on to a mission. He gets on a mission to finish his father's job. That was an unfinished business. Iraq was an unfinished business, and a very vicious plan was actually organized at that time. They came up with the plan to invade 7 countries in 4 to 5 years. That's what the plan was. And the final country that they were going to invade was Iran. Okay. Now, George W. Bush Jr., basically 2001 invasion of Afghanistan. And invasion of Afghanistan, longest war in the American history. It lasted for 20 years. I mean, longer than the Vietnam War, actually. Then 2003 invasion of Iraq, 170,000 US troops at 2007 peak. That's how many troops were in Iraq. We don't even know how many actually gave their life. And what's interesting is this about this whole Afghanistan war. Do you guys want to know what's interesting about this whole Afghanistan war is? Let me come to this screen first. Interesting thing about this Afghanistan war is that United States went over there to end Al Qaeda, like George W. Bush Jr. said, Al Qaeda, we're going to end Al Qaeda. So he went over there to end Al Qaeda. But what's interesting is this perspective for you, okay? That 47th president of the United States shook hands with the leader of Al-Nusra, which is nothing but a faction of Al-Qaeda. And today, and this is not, I'm not just, telling you some conspiracy theories here, okay? Today, Al-Qaeda is in Afghanistan. They are still in Afghanistan, make no mistake. Al-Qaeda and Taliban, they fight over there from time to time. Whenever they get the opportunity, one eliminates the other, okay? Al-Qaeda is in Somalia. Okay. And then Al Qaeda is in Syria. And they've been using Al Qaeda proxies to organize these civil wars in Africa in different locations. And 47 president of the United States basically shook hands with the guy and made him the president of Syria. And then just a couple of days ago, Prime Minister of United Kingdom, the Islamic Republic of England, actually shook hands with him too. The question really is why all these guys are shaking hands with this guy. That's a video for another time. Okay. But I'm just giving you the perspective, meaning that when they entered the war in Afghanistan, and the objective was to finish and end Al Qaeda, right? Then, if you cannot end Al Qaeda, if you didn't finish Al Qaeda, then clearly you lost the war. And this is why I made a video. For these type of reasons, I made a video that why America starts a war that it cannot win. So you may want to go check that video out. I'll put a link below, and probably at the end of the video too. You can go check it out. Okay. Now let's move forward. And the invasion of Iraq. For Iraq invasion, what happened? They cooked up some random story that the Saddam Hussein has WMD and all. We all know this, and the WMDs were never found. The reality of it is this: if Saddam Hussein really had WMDs, it's highly likely that he would have been alive today. And Al Qaeda, as far as Al Qaeda is concerned, Osama bin Laden was found in Pakistan, the same Pakistan that President Trump was kissing ass with. Why? Because Prime Minister of Pakistan basically recommended him for Nobel Peace Prize. How do you get Nobel Peace Prize? By shaking hands with terrorists, actually. I still have to figure that out. So let's move forward. Then comes legendary Barack Hussein Obama, 2009 to 2017. Some call him the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, actually, or the head of the snake. Man started war in Libya. NATO intervention helped overthrow Muammar Gaddafi, even though Libya airstrikes were conducted by France, and Gaddafi was shot by one of its own people over there, which I'm pretty sure was a criminal who was paid in full to do the job. Okay. And and Obama was actually given Nobel Peace Prize without even doing anything. As soon as he took the office, he was given the Nobel Peace Prize. 2014 onwards, ISIS coalition, 80 plus countries, strikes in Iraq and Syria, all over the place. Basically, bro was all over the place. All he did was he just every speech, Merca. He did Merca. And what's interesting about this guy is that he took taxpayers' money to bail out the companies, or I would say bailout. Basically, bailout was the word to actually mask the actual thing. What was that actual thing? Actual thing was the loan that was taken by the incompetent people who couldn't pay their mortgage. So this guy takes the loan from people like you and me who actually are taxpayers and who can afford their mortgage. So he went on to pay that mortgage and loan back on the name of bailout. And then they increased the tax. Under him, United States basically lost its credit rating from AAA to 2A. 2008 economic crisis was his doing. And the whole de-dollarization thing that people normally, American people and people all over the world, they talk about and all that. The first instance of de-dollarization was introduced by him on the name of currency swap. Okay. So He also bombed 7 countries, expanded drone program, and under him, Hillary Clinton was actually uh, doing lots and lots of things. I mean, you can go on and look into it, how they left their defense contractor, the special forces contractors in Libya, basically to die over there. No help, never, nothing came. Now, let's go to another um interesting personality, Donald J. Trump. In his first term, he went on to Syria missile strike, 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched. Then in 2020, Abu Basr Baghdadi is dead or something like that. And then he killed the Soleimani is dead. He died like a dog, very beautiful dog. I think probably you guys remember that video too. And I'm just telling you what exactly these guys have done. Okay. Then drone strikes basically kills Iran's top general in Iraq. That was the Qasim Soleimani. All right. So this is how things are. Now let's look into our sleepy Joe Biden, 2021 to 2025. This man was a complete disaster. I think that why he became president, and in fact, what lots of people may not say this thing, but I'm gonna say it straight up that when he became president, then I think lots of American people lost faith in the system. I mean, they had no faith in the system before, but when he became president, then everybody thought that they also can become president too. And Autopen came, and this guy basically he went on to full on support of Ukraine war. He supported Ukraine war so much so that we came this close to getting nuked. Russians took out their nuclear submarine and all that. And UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer was in White House talking about it. Hey, let's go do it. Let's go do it. And we all know the whole story. Not to mention, under his presidency, they were ready to create hyperinflation as well. By what? By port strikes, the seaports, right? The port strike. Remember the port strike that happened in 2024 October, and it lasted for 2 weeks. And after that 2 weeks, it was finally actually not 2 weeks, probably within a week, couple of days or so. But uh, but he lost. Anyways, then tens and billions in military aid on the name of USAID and all that thing. Lots and lots of money was going under him somewhere, nobody knows. Okay. Lots and lots of illegals were imported from outside so that they can change the demography. And after that, modify and alter the whole entire Census Bureau data. And once you change the demographic data, change the voter ID data, and then you won the election. Then 2023 he or Gaza, and guess what? He supported Gaza, and not supported Gaza, but actually uh he did not support Gaza. But I think Bibi had something on him that once again he had to. Okay, because in one of his somewhere, I think in his book or somewhere, he said that, oh, that fucking guy BB, oh man, he's a bad mofo. Basically, those were Joe Biden's words. So all military Gaza, whatever happened in Gaza, you see, Gaza used to be a building, or lots of buildings were there, lots of beautiful buildings were there, but they were all leveled. Now it's gone. When this whole thing started in 2022, I predicted this thing that if anyone thinks that Gaza will ever come back, they need to forget about it. Gaza will never come back. I said this thing in 2022, and I exactly told them the whole entire game plan as to what exactly is going to happen and how this whole thing is going to proceed forward. And And I also predicted then that Lebanon is the next thing. Israel is not going to let Lebanon go. Until Israel reaches the Golan Heights, Israel is not going to sit quiet. Make no mistake. Okay. And then comes the 2023 Red Sea operation, the strikes in Yemen, Houthi operation, where American ships had to hide because Houthis were well equipped and they started to actually do some serious damage. So American warships had to turn around and leave the Red Sea alone. And then comes once again our legendary Donald Beautiful J. Trump. This man during his whole entire campaign when he was running for the office during his campaign he says that there will be no war in my presidency, we will have golden year of America, golden age of America, and this and that, all kinds of things we will be seeing. And the moment he enters, within first year, something happens. I don't know what that is, but today we know what's happening in Iran and the whole entire Iran war and direct military confrontation with Iran. What he didn't realize is that, I think his brain couldn't grasp as to why no country has ever attacked Iran, even though Iran was one country that never actually followed the whole petrodollar system. But why nobody ever invaded Iran or even attempted to do that? Well, I think now he's finding out the hard way. So the golden age of America, actually, I don't know about the golden age or silver age or bronze age, but I'm pretty sure that if this continues, then America will definitely reach the stone age for sure. And I also don't know about Iran because Iran has all that oil. Iran has lots and lots of customers ready to actually buy oil from Iran. Just mark my words. I'm telling you this again in this video, right here, right now. The day this war is over, Iran will recover faster than you can say fast, simply by selling the natural gas and by selling the oil to all the BRICS countries in the national currencies. That's exactly how it's gonna play out. Okay. And rest of these countries who were actually selling their oil and everything else in dollar, they will be doomed. Okay. So that's how this whole thing is gonna play out. But this is the scene that this is the presidential record I was sharing with you. Okay. Let's move forward. So, and if you look at every party, no exceptions, right? Every president's record, if you look at it, Reagan was Republican, and we talked about 7,600 troops. Then George H.W. Bush, Republican, Panama invasion, Gulf War, 540,000 troops. Clinton, Democrat, Kosovo, NATO, all that, 38,000 sorties. George W. Bush Jr., Afghanistan, Iraq invasion, 170,000 at peak. Obama, Libya, ISIS, 7 countries bombed. Trump first term, Syria strikes, Soleimani killing. Then Biden comes, then Trump comes. Look at if you look into these numbers, then these are like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Republicans and 3 Democrats here. So pretty much 50-50 is there. And so that's the record of it. Okay, now let's look into the war loop change form. Okay, so what exactly is going on here? There it is. Okay, if you look into it, what exactly happened? See, wars basically it did not stop, right? The way America actually fought changed. Now, if you look into the slide, you see that the Cold War era, recognizable wars, large troop deployments, clear fields, defined named enemies, Grenada 1983, Panama, and Gulf War. If you look into it, what I'm trying to say here is that in early days of the war, enemies were defined, objectives were clear, and you could see the end of the war. That's why up until Gulf War even, uh, it I mean, all these wars basically they ended in a timely fashion within like probably a year, maybe 6 months, 7 months, whatever that was. Okay, but they all ended simply because of there was leeway or leverage to do large troop deployments. Battlefields used to be pretty open and clear. Why? Because America was the largest military power, so there was no other competition, if you ask me. Hmm? There was nobody even uh, near to even counter America except for USSR. But after that, now if you look into post 9/11 era, then things have changed. Drone strikes, special forces operations are there, proxy wars are there. So in from 90s onwards, the whole era became of proxies. Why? Because countries realize that when your enemy is stronger, then you have to follow the United Nations code of conduct, United Nations, war doctrine or war charters like Warsaw Pact and all that, right? That you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Hmm? And so what they started to do is that instead of uh, getting involved into direct conflicts, these small countries they started to prepare more for proxy wars. They learned their lesson from Vietnam. Vietnam, that's what Vietnam did. Vietnam started the proxy. Vietnam was not fighting a direct war. They started this whole warfare and all that thing. Hmm? And drone strikes, special forces operations, proxy wars, weapons. So war has basically changed over the period of time. But before, what was that? It was something else. Now it's more in terms of intelligence sharing. It's more like sanctions, economic warfare. Look at what happened to what's going on with Russia, right? Or uh, Iran, right? Cuba. So why I mean think about it. Like why US never really attacked or captured Cuba if Cuba was such a problem? Why they just put sanctions on it? Hmm? There are certain things that nobody wants to touch for a certain reason. Hmm? So that's what happened. The war loop changed, and what happened with the loop? Its form changed. What used to be direct conflict, it is starting to become more and more of a I would say invisible conflict that you see different enemy is always hidden. It's in the shadows. In Afghanistan war. In Afghanistan war, America was there for 20 years. Hmm? I'm just giving you the perspective on this. Okay, America was in Afghanistan for 20 years. 20 years. And in those 20 years, America never got out of Kandahar. That is Kandahar area, probably that region is probably 30% of Afghanistan. They never ever even captured the whole entire Afghanistan. In 20 years. Think about it. And when it comes to bragging about the budget and all that, these guys they brag about $900 billion budget, $1 trillion budget, and this budget and that budget. All that is just for corruption. So I'm just giving you the perspective. And why is that? Why they couldn't actually got past Afghanistan? I mean, past Kandahar. They couldn't do it simply because of the changing nature of the warfare. It was basically hidden IED based, hmm, or sometimes guerrilla warfare, and sometimes something. You cannot beat the locals who are actually accustomed to the climate, to the environment. They have lived their whole life there, so they know what it is, and they know how to tackle their enemy. Hmm? So then another thing is this. The one of the other reasons why every president gets the war is that this is something that happened right here. This problem, the legal blank check. What is that legal blank check? There was a time, right, when we go back to the early era, right? Early era where why this is why I was showing this Cold War era, right? This here. When we were in from 1983, like in this era, post World War to 1991, okay, up until this era, president had to actually get the congressional approval in order to really attack a country to do something. But this bill was passed, okay, in 2001 after 9/11. This bill was passed. George H.W. Bush got this bill, and guess what? America entered Afghanistan for next 20 years, 3 days after 9/11. Just 3 days after 9/11, this bill was passed. Okay. And this bill was never repealed. It's still active in 2026. This is why Donald J. Trump was able to enter Iran too without congressional approval or anything. Otherwise, the guy who couldn't even get his nominees approved and confirmed, you're telling me that he was going to get the congressional approval to get into war with Iran? No. And so you see, right? This has been applied in 5+ countries already: Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, Niger, and Libya. And every new president that enters, she, well, so far it's he, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to put it. But every new president inherits a pre-signed authorization for war. No new congressional vote is required. In the beginning, there was a big hoopla about it, but nobody said anything after that. The hoopla was there, but because of the emotions that were surging during the 9/11 timeframe, uh, everything was approved. And that's all the result is. We see the result of it. Then comes another reason is the domestic politics. What is domestic politics? See, the domestic politics is basically that war basically is not about just all the time foreign policy, right? We all know this. Now, I will just give you a simple thing. That look at President Donald J. Trump. What happened? There was certain file they talked about, and something happened. And at least I'm not saying anything. I am not saying anything. But what people are saying is that he entered Iran war because he wanted to create a diversion, or basically divert people from the whole Epstein thing. But I don't know. I cannot confirm it. I have no idea what exactly is going on that front. That's not my forte. That's not my expertise. But I'm just giving you as an example that right or wrong is, it's not about right and wrong here. It's about domestic politics is used. I mean, wars have been used historically to divert attention from the domestic politics. That's what it is. Okay. Then uh and a lot of it is tied to the domestic politics, like public approval surges during military confrontations. Then Congress unites, military action is hard to oppose, right? And then other things, see, lots of things happen here when these generals and all, when they support the war, yeah, let's go get into it. Then what happens is that it gives a sense of victory somehow to lots and lots of Americans who have no clue what exactly is going on. And that basically polarizes the people too. And then, if you look into it, then defense spending becomes politically impossible to block. Then these generals, they get their promotions based on those wars, actually. And withdrawal basically creates what? Visible attributable failure. When you withdraw, it is seen as a weakness. Look at Donald J. Trump. He used Joe Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal to his advantage. He said the way it was done. If I was president, that wasn't gonna happen. That would have never happened, and this and that. Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? Looking at the Iran situation, I don't think that he would have pulled that off even. I mean, the man is asking other countries to help with this, help in opening the Strait of Hormuz. My question is that Strait of Hormuz was already open. Why are you asking for help? Why did you go in there in the first place? That's number one point. Number 2 point is that if you're so concerned about opening the Strait of Hormuz, then why your aircraft carriers that are the biggest ships over there, why they are not near the Strait of Hormuz? Why they're 1,000 kilometers away from it? I mean, he has put all his ships 1,000 kilometers away from it. One of the aircraft carrier is decommed. It's gone. It's not going to be useful for next 2 or 3 years. That's $12 billion masterpiece. That's what they call it. And he's asking other countries to get involved into it so that this war can spread further. And that he was taking advice from who? His partner in crime, basically. So, but you see where I'm going with this, right? The whole point is that domestic politics plays a major role in it. Obama did the same thing. Obama continued with Afghanistan war and all that because he could not do anything about the recession, the 2008 economic crisis that happened. And these things actually help spread the narrative too. They create a narrative, a fancy narrative, and then they go with it by doing all this. And each and every general that supports it, they also get their promotion and all that. Then there are other entities who actually profit from all this too, right? The political incentives always point towards what? Staying. Why? Because look at Nikki Haley. And this is not me saying it, these are the words of Tulsi Gabbard. That Nikki Haley was bankrupt before the Afghanistan war. But as soon as Afghanistan war started, she became millionaire. So you see that, right? And annual defense budget is what? $900 billion just to create a $12 billion piece. Out of that $12 billion piece, that gets deconned within 3 days of operations. It was there nine months. It was doing basically extending its period, and then there you go. Largest military budget in the world. Imagine that. So there is that. All right. Now let's move forward. Then comes another reason is the industrial lock-in. Right? Congress doesn't fund peace. We all know this. Lockheed Martin, fighter jets, missiles, satellites, F-35 program. That's a millions of dollar program and trillions of dollar program actually. And guess what? Nobody wants to buy it. Northrop Grumman. Bombers, drones, space systems, B-20 radars and all that. Raytheon, missiles, radar system, air defense, Boeing defense aircraft, helicopters, naval systems. And these companies are distributed across swing states by design. Simply because when you distribute them like this, then any senator who'd want to oppose it will have to deal with what? Unemployment, job loss. Okay, and that thing will be used against that particular senator, and they will lose the election. And the defense industry is a what? Political constituency, not just a contractor pool. So
that for me?
that's Alexa. No, Alexa, quiet. Stop. And then another reason is global policing. This is the word that probably you guys have heard a lot, right? And this is another reason the war loop keeps repeating. Is because United States has taken on in the international system all this whole thing, the global policing. The global policing has a very nice name. The name was rule-based international order. That rule-based international order came into being after USSR was broken into multiple countries. The birth of Russia, and then we talk about what? End of the Cold War era. That's when came the rule-based international order. That became more dominant. United Nations started to lose its value. That was the point when the United Nations actually started to lose its value. So today, basically, what happens? US maintains hundreds of overseas military bases uh, to handle this business, the global policing business, sticking their nose into other countries' business. Troops are there where? In Europe, in Middle East, Asia, and most of the deployment is in Europe and Middle East actually. It operates what? 11 aircraft carriers. At least that's the number. Out of which only 4 or 5 are actually functional or in service. Rest are doing what? Nobody knows. But there was a time when this allowed United States to project military power what? Across multiple oceans at the same time. And this was originally what? Built during the Cold War era. So all this remained in place. Now, when you build an enormous system of global policing like this, then you have to fund it. And how do you fund it? You fund it by actually organizing wars all over the place. You are funded by justifying it all over the place. And every president that comes is the commander in chief. You have to understand this too. So when this mechanism goes and tells his commander in chief that, hey, don't we have this, we have to take care of all this business. How do we do that? It becomes president's problem. It becomes president's direct problem, not even indirect problem. Right? And this whole presence basically pulls president into regional crisis or anything pretty much. Because presidents are told by their advisors that this is somehow, it has become a major problem. We are going to lose our global policing status. Rule-based international order will be gone. And that's what it was. What we are seeing in Iran, okay? What we are seeing in Iran is the end of this thing, the global policing. Global policing, aka rule-based international order. That's what we are seeing right now. That if you cannot police the world, then what's the point of global policing? Right? So, so that's where we are at. Now let's go into another one. So there is a whole entire thing. I call it the alliance web. These alliances can actually activate the loop from outside too. NATO, South Korea, Gulf states, Japan, Philippines, Israel. Now, if you look into it, hmm, if you look into it, Russia-Ukraine war happened. What was that? This was pretty much NATO. Hmm? Then Philippines, China is there, so there is a thing. Hmm? Then comes right now Iran. Who activated it? Israel, right? And that takes us to what? Our final reason, the Israel Palestine axis, mainly the Israel factor. Now, let's look into this. This is very important, guys. So pay attention, okay? Pay attention. Iraq, Libya, Syria, Iran. What do they all have in common? And Lebanon, too, if you want to add that to the list, you can add it. Hmm? What do they all have in common? Iraq, leader was Saddam Hussein. Libya, Muammar Gaddafi. Syria, Bashar al Assad. Iran, Supreme Leader Khamenei. Think about it. Bashar al Assad is alive because of Russian intervention. Otherwise, all those three they're dead. But it was all regime change. Now let's look into Iraq. Publicly championed the Palestinian cause in regional politics. Okay. Libya funded Palestinian militant groups, NATO-backed intervention 2011. Syria hosted Hamas leadership, backed Hezbollah, supported the Palestinian cause. Iran funds Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So, what is common in all of these? Two things. All these leaders are dead. And most important thing is that they all supported Palestine, or Palestine, however you want to call it. So, any country that supported Palestine has been decimated or sent to so-called Stone Age. Right? The common thread what? Every one of these states was a significant supporter of the Palestinian cause. Now, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Iran, that in itself actually constitutes about 30 plus years of war straight. More than that. Think about it. Plus years of war organized by who? Right here. That one country. 30 plus years of war. Now you know why every president is involved into war. Different president, same loop. What is that? Legal blank check, domestic politics, alliance web. Then these are some of these reasons, right? So, president change, parties change, campaign promises change, but the wars keep appearing. Some president launch invasions, other run bombing campaigns, some fund wars, other arm allies, other support allies. For those who don't know, right? For those who don't know, the whole entire the first Iraq war, the Gulf War, it was called Gulf War. What was it? The war started because Iraq attacked Kuwait. That's why the war had started. Ally. Iran war just now. The whole proceedings of 2022, 7th October. Hamas, that was actually partially created by Bibi Netanyahu too. They attacked. So somehow he was trying to get into Iran. But Iran was a way bigger bite than he can chew. So now we are seeing the outcome, right? So this is what happens, guys. Some deploy the troops, other conducts drone strikes or naval operations. The form basically changes, but the presidency's connection to war does not. And this is because America's president does not simply inherit a country. President is what? Commander in chief. President also inherits a global military system that is already operating, hundreds of bases, defense treaties, military aid commitments, active conflicts. Lots of these conflicts actually do not even serve any purpose. Lots of these allies don't serve any purpose. And watching all those choke points, geopolitical pressure points across the world. So when a new president actually enters the White House, he does not start from zero. Okay. So he steps into a machine that has been running for decades, which is why the pattern repeats. Reagan, Bush, Clinton, then Bush Jr., Obama, Trump, Biden, then Trump again. Different presidents, different rhetoric, but the same loop. Every presidency eventually becomes tied to a war. All right. So this is it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in another video. Take care.